Hello. Wow. Today, have we got a show for you? Look, I'm always lucky to run this show every week. Where are they now? We welcome you. We say, where are they now? 7 p.m. every Tuesday, prime time on Discovery TV, sorry. And this week is going to be something different. A good friend from way back. Every week I talk to iconic South African artists, people in the music business, local and international. We find out how they came to this point in their lives and how they've continued to stay in the business or maybe gone out the business and are doing different things in their lives. But I want to know where they are now and how they got here. We love to hear about the crazy stories, the incredible people, the amazing experiences that only people in the music industry can truly understand. It is such a bittersweet journey for some and a formidable ride for others. But whatever it is, it rocks, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Tonight's guest, someone I've known since the waybacks. And as he said in a little post recently, we didn't always move in the same circles, but I watched him as this young rebel showing us truly what punk and rock really meant, going out on a limb because of what he and the bands he worked with believed in. So many fans, so many tribe members, and the one and only guru of alternative rock we have with us tonight, Robbie Rob. Robbie, darling.
Hello.
There you are. Robbie Rob.
Hi.
Robbie, my boy.
Hey.
I've saved Robbie a couple of times. I think he saved me too a couple of times.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, sweetheart.
Thank you.
It is such a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show. All the way from the USA, Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
Which we know is a magnificent piece of the world, a very spiritual, safe space for the heart and soul. And we will talk about that too, because I love that kind of thing. It's my thing.
Yeah.
What I like to do always, Robbie, is just take us back to right at the beginning. You as a kid starting out, where did the music start? How, what, give us a little bit of background there.
Well, I was very fortunate. My first true love, Joanna Weinberg, her father.
Nice Jewish girl.
Yeah. And her father was a Baroque musician, and
Okay.
And he saw me and recognized something and told me to go take guitar lessons with Alan Queller.
Okay.
So I took guitar lessons with Alan Queller, and then while I was taking lessons with him, he said to me, there's a band that's looking for a guitar player. So I went down to the EMI rehearsal studios, and it was a band called Muddy Bridge. It was an 8-piece jazz, African jazz, kind of spiritual rejoice type thing. And
Nice.
So I joined them, and in a way, that's where I started turning. I didn't think of myself as a racist at all as growing up, but I never had contact with black folk. There were just those people over there. And of course, my maid was my mom, basically.
Yes.
And so then I went and I used to have to sneak into Alexander Township to practice and stuff and get lessons from the keyboard player. And it was really beautiful because there's this poverty there, and I'd go there and the lady would make me this food and make a bed for me. The generosity was outstanding,
Yeah.
And so I started changing, and then we got a gig in Pockittv, just outside that place, Sun City, and I was basically the only white guy for miles except for that hotel, and it was over Christmas and New Year, and I got so intimate with the black folk there. It was unbelievable. When I came home, I want to tell all my friends, hey, dudes, these people are not going to do this to you. They're not going to do that. They're cool. They're awesome. Wah, wah, wah. And I came back, and now I was getting proficient jazz guitar player. And I come back, and there's the punk scene happening. And I'm like, what is this fucking music, these cats can't play, you know. But
Woo!
but I found it really quickly, and so then we formed the Asylum Kids, and
Okay.
so then and that was still part of my feeling, you know, like when you see something beautiful, you want to turn to someone and say, "Hey, look at that," you know.
Yes.
And so I wanted to share the what I'd learned from the black folk with my audiences, you know. And Mandela was in jail at the time, and
Yes.
so we began that kind of sharing information basically through our music, sharing the new lessons and trying to bridge this thing between the black folk and the white folk, you know,
And
without
how old were you then, Robbie?
oh shit. I remember there was a 21st birthday somewhere along there. I can't.
But that's quite a good grounding when you start in that arena, because I mean the black folk, as you like to say. I mean, when I worked with the black musicians, I it just took me into a whole different ball game, and
Yeah,
I loved that as well. That was like, whoa, you know.
yeah,
We were so limited in our way, and I'm not saying that every musician should do this and should do that, but I think mixing stuff is
yeah,
good for us, you know,
yeah,
to go and work with other musicians, to go and do other things that you normally wouldn't.
yeah,
Um, it just gives you different feelings about things, and you can write differently as well.
yeah, yeah.
So aside,
It
oh,
loosens the girders of your soul, you know. It loosens your
yes,
mind up and gives you more of a grammar to draw on, you know, more language in your music,
more
you know.
language.
Yeah,
So now
and
your Asylum Kids starts really taking off, you
yeah,
know. um, it was one of the first real progressive kind of rock punk bands, alternative thing. You know,
yeah,
everybody was like, whoa, these guys are mad.
yeah, yeah,
Especially you, darling.
yeah,
Especially
yeah,
you. The first time I saw you, I was like, he's a freaking nut. I love it.
yeah, yeah. Look, I had a lot of anger in me,
Of
you know,
course. I
um,
know.
and and so it was a place to focus the anger. And
Yes.
also, I moved into a commune at the time,
Mm.
and they were all very involved with the ANC and all that. And what's his name? Neil Agate used to come there
Yes.
often. And actually, the room that I lived in had a secret wall that you could open up, and he had stashed all his stuff in there. So every
What
now and again, he
stuff?
would have to come into my room and get documents and stuff out of my wall, you know.
Documents and stuff. Okay, we was
Yeah,
just checking.
legal shit, you
We
know.
was just checking what stuff it was.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was, that kind of stuff, political stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I got to know him, and he would talk to us about what's happening at the Baragwan Hospital and what's happening with the kids.
Mm.
You know, when the cops would come and just shoot them, and then they would run to the hospital, and then the cops would wait at the hospital and then arrest them. So then the kids stopped going into the hospital; they would run back into the townships.
Yeah.
And so we worked with him to build up a fundraising situation to get doctors to go into the townships, you know.
Okay.
So from that day on, my life has only been about fundraising. I've never
Is
made
that
money from fucking music. I've made so much money for other people.
for fundraising?
The
But
fundraising for the kids, and you know, and for the end conscription campaign,
yes.
and then there was the organization, and I can't remember if we started it or who in my gang were involved, but Rock Against Management. So we would
I
make
remember that.
yeah, so we'd make funds, create fundraisers to get money to the black men who would go on strike, and then they didn't have bucks to feed their families. So we raised money to help that, you know, so they could go on strike and feed their families. And
Yes.
so then that's where the cuck started, you know.
Of course. That's where the trouble starts. It's a funny thing, Robbie, that not everybody understands this. When they look at musicians, they see us as these lovely, fun-loving people who just write
Yeah,
songs and have fun and yay, we're doing all this. But music is very political. Music is extremely political.
yeah,
It's I mean, I mentioned this many times, the days of Vietnam and the Bob Dylans and the Joan Baez is saying, we don't want this. Take our people out of there, etc.,
Yeah,
etc. Because the musicians have a voice. Bruce Springsteen's talking about the working man,
yeah,
how he didn't have a voice, talking about the guys who were striking. So music and politics have always gone in some way hand in hand. And you could go and say, oh, I'm not involved in politics or anything, but if you have an opinion, it
yeah.
is it is somewhere out there. So
Right, and I wasn't very clued up politically. You know what I mean? I didn't
yeah.
really know who the ANC were, or if they are trustworthy or whatever. But it was that thing of the kids, the children, and that was the way I could help. It's like, okay, I don't want that, so let me help that. And then I don't want Mandela in prison, so let me do that.
Help, yes,
Yeah,
sure.
and then it started getting weird. The government at the time, you weren't allowed to use the word Mandela if there were more than 3 people in the room. So
Yeah.
so I would go on stage and sing about the lion, or like we had that song, "What Kind of Men Are Those?" about the kid that got shot, by the soldiers, and it's just like. So I wasn't really coming from a knowledgeable political place, like I knew socialism or communism
No,
or
sure.
capitalism, that shit, but it was more of a socialism. It
It
was
was
about,
no, it was a heartfelt cause, and you didn't know politically exactly what you were talking about. I didn't know
yeah,
either when I
yeah,
was dancing in Soweto and in the townships. I didn't know all the ins and the outs and all that. But we were
yeah,
with the Twilight Children. We used to try and get the kids
yeah,
off the
that's it.
streets.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah,
worked with
exactly.
that. And we did a few shows like that, and we did some shows with you. Um,
Yeah,
you've
that's right.
you also come from quite a family. I know your stepbrother Larry Amos. I mean, he's so well loved and so well known, and I don't think many people know that he is your
Yeah.
stepbrother. And was that an influence with you anyway? Even though you two have different genres, I mean, Larry's always been into the blues end or the sort of
Yeah.
funky, chunky uh, blues stuff.
Yeah.
Did you
Come
guys
to me,
play together?
honey. What
Yeah,
was that song? Come to me, honey. Ooh,
yeah.
sexy lady. Let me be your rocking chair. That was Larry.
Woo!
Yeah, no, the thing is with Larry is that he was so almost OCD with that damn guitar. He
Yeah.
would, he would sit there no matter like parties, whatever. He'd be sitting in the corner. They
Yes.
talk about Hendrix would do that, and he'd just sit there and
Mm.
fucking play. And you can talk to him, and he's like just got this blank stare. And
Yes.
but
We
I
know
didn't notice.
that.
I didn't notice really what was going on there until much later. But the thing is that what I learned about him is what he was doing while he was sitting there was he was grabbing little phrases of melodies and just
Mm.
burning them into his consciousness over and
Ah,
over. And it was like
got
just
it.
little melodies. Now, I had this vast knowledge of jazz and chords and all the shit and scales and stuff, and I couldn't understand what the fuck am I playing here. This is not. It doesn't sound good. Blah blah blah. And then Larry would play a solo, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And then I started understanding. Oh, it's about the melody, because you can ask Larry to
Melody.
play A minor, he doesn't know what you're talking about.
No,
But he
no.
hit the chord, and he knows everything about it.
Oh, no.
And so I learned that thing about slow down. I mean, they used to tease me. They used to call me Elder Milkshake because I was interested.
Like Aldo Miola.
Yeah, yeah. So
Aldo Milkshake.
yeah. And
I
plus,
love it.
I was very into Donovan. I was very into that kind of mystical
Yes,
folk music.
yes.
And so then I learned how to, like, okay, slow the shit down, find the melodies in there, find the melodies. And so it was a vast, and even to this day,
And you
if I
do.
lose a little bit of focus, I will think about Larry and then just remember it's like, okay, well, grab that phrase and play it for 5 minutes till you find something. So I got great lessons from him. And I think, he's one of the greatest guitar players on the planet.
Robbie. It's a beautiful thing to learn from people. I just want to tell you that we have a whole bunch of people watching us. You won't see the feed, but I get to see it here. We've got Marion from Germany. Hi, watching us. Gail Prosser here. Janice, Michael. Mikey used to play in the Ragdolls. Do you remember the
Oh,
Ragdolls?
yes, yes.
And
Hi.
Mickey played in the Ragdolls. He's in Germany as well. Serena, hello, my darling. Do you remember Eddie Boyle? Serena is his daughter. And
Oh,
Dave
wow.
Ray and Fame Org. We love all you guys. Thank you for coming to see us. And Jenny Horton, of course, always watches, always supports. So I'll just keep you posted when people are coming along to say hi.
Right. I wanted to say something about Eddie Boyle. If
Yes.
is he still alive?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I'll tell his daughter, your dad saved my life.
Oh,
I mean, I didn't have instruments. I would go into the store and he'd sell me something, and knowing that I wasn't going to be able to pay it, and never gave me stress.
they were always those good people. Serena, just remember that about Dad.
Yeah,
So
very, very important.
Asylum Kids, we were all in the start of the apartheid breaking down. It was all
Yeah.
those times. When did Asylum Kids switch over to into tribe after tribe? When did that happen? Because I want to play a video of tribe after tribe. Once you
Yeah.
tell me about the switch, because this video is like, that is my memory of tribe after tribe. When did the switch happen?
Well, what happened was we played this. Asylum Kids played this huge concert at the City Hall. And that was quite amazing because when we arrived, the line of people had all the way around the block, And I was like, wow. And we played this show, and there was a tension between the band member, one particular band member, and myself. And I walked off stage and never went back to that band. And
Really? Is that
and
how
so
it
then,
ended?
yeah, it was kind of on a bit of a bad vibe, But so then Dino split to America and was hoping to get us a record deal there and bring us out. And Di Brucken was involved with that. She
Yeah,
was
I
the
remember Di.
she was the manager of that black group. I can't remember the name now. But anyway, so then I was just hanging around, and Bruce Backstop had broken up, and so Bruce Williams and I
Yes.
decided to play together. And he said he would play the keyboards. The DX7 just got released, which I think was
Okay.
the destroyer of music.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then we formed it. But at that time, I used to, I was still taking acid and all that shit, and I went into the mountains and heard this drumming, and we went down to see what's going on, and there was black folk doing a little ceremony with the drums, total shaman in the middle, doing that whole thing. But on our way there, I was listening to the Van Halen album and Zeppelin and stuff, and then I heard this drumming, and I saw what was going on with this medicine music that I now understand, and I was like, man, there's got to be a way to blend that with the Zeppelin business. And so that's when I started creating this concept of African acid rock. So then I was like, okay, let's make an album that's got a lot of tom work, African rhythms. We went in, and Roddy Quinn was always a great supporter of me, and he brought us into EMI studio and gave us plenty of time to develop material. Really, to maximum gratitude to Roddy on those. And so we started developing this particular style of music. But like I say, the DX7 was poison.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it started a whole new, it's just the new sort of dance era kind of stuff, and things they just went different. They went into a different space. By then I was also out of the pop thing, I was doing Zia, and we were in the township still running around like lunatics. So I'd also out of that, but the DX7 was very popular amongst the black musicians. We had all that stuff going.
I know.
And
it was very bad.
Yeah, it's just terrible, but it worked for something. So
And so that album, the first Tribe After Tribe album, Power, I can't even listen to it. I can't stand it. It's just a terrible situation. But then when we got to America,
Yes.
We started writing some new material and working on new material, and I still wanted to, hold on to those African rhythms and stuff, and have something different. But in America at the time,
Yes.
look, there were 4 musicians, and they played in all the bands. Everybody looked the same hairstyle, same sound, and everything.
Yes.
But the guitar playing was absolutely unbelievable. The cats were playing like unbelievable. So I had to bring my guitar up a bit, and so then that healed me of the DX7 business. And my guitar playing started getting pretty good. At one time, I was voted 4th best guitar player in America. And I was like, no,
listen, dude, you can't just put that. You can't just put that in there and just go poof poof. 4th
well,
best.
I basically spoke to the editor about that, and I said to him, dude, what's going on there? He said, no, it's not because of your technique, but because of your taste, the decisions that you make. That's what he said. So anyway,
that's a pretty damn powerful thing. That's powerful.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, I still feel like a little idiot on the edge of a shore of possibilities,
But we all are, darling. We all are. And you know what? I hate poo-pooing what we do because, I mean, people will, it's that humility and that's like, oh, yeah, thank you, but don't tell me I'm good kind of thing. But sometimes we do need to swallow it and accept it and look in the mirror and go, you know what? You've done some amazing things.
Yeah.
I want to play something that to me is amazing. It was a Tribe After Tribe concert. Nikita is the song. Oh, guys, this is going to be ballistic. Truly, look at this thing. Look at this thing. Ooh, man, you know,
Yeah, I love
that
that song.
is, yeah. Don't you love that? I mean,
Yeah,
the energy there, the spirit of it, and people also don't understand that what you've done in the past, it still stays. It's not like gone forever. And I remember how you used to do this stuff. Yeah, I used to do it, and it's still there.
yeah, yeah.
You know. Um, so when you go from that, where does that take you?
Well, we were very, very fortunate. Um, we wanted to make a record. So we immediately, Roddy had organized it for us to get a publishing deal. So we
Mm,
got the publishing deal, and then starts the shopping and the looking for a record deal. And now in South Africa, you know, I was friends with Roddy. We go to his house, we eat mussels and crackers. We were friends, you know what I mean? Even if he didn't sign us, we weren't signed to him, we were
you were
mates.
still buddies, yeah.
Yeah, we were buddies. And then in America, along comes this guy from RCA wants to sign you. Okay, cool. He takes me to dinner, blah, blah, blah. We go to the concerts. He takes me to see Pink Floyd. We develop a friendship. We meet
Yes.
his boss. Boss says, no, there's no hits there. So they don't sign us. And I can never get this guy on the phone again as a
That's
friend. And so I was like,
yeah.
what the fuck is that?
Mm,
I thought we had a friendship, you know? And so
sure.
this happened a few times. And so I spoke to Tessa. I said, no, forget about it. I'm not interested in having. Oh, and then now the publishing company is like, oh, they're going to put me together with a songwriter that's, had hits and blah, blah, blah. And they're going to teach me how to write hits. But what they
But
were saying was put the drum beat on the 2 and 4, and you'll be the next,
yes,
and you'll be the
yes,
next U2. Put the
yes.
drum beat on, and you'll be the next U2. I said, fuck that. This is my whole thing about the tribal drumming. I mean, Philip Tabani
Yeah.
and the Malama Jasmine, that's in my brain. I want that, So we decided to make our own record and forget about the record companies. We'll release a little cassette and we'll start a groundswell. So we do that. And the next thing I get a phone call, the cassette is floating around a little bit. We're not trying to get a record deal. I get a phone call from a guy. And I said to the band also, Metallica did it this
Mm,
way. They didn't go for a record deal. They sold
yeah.
it out of their trunk and they just drove and played gigs. This is how we got to do it. So the next thing I get a phone call from a guy named Johnny Zazula. And he says to me, yeah, we want to sign you, blah, blah, blah. Big old Jewish Brooklyn guy, that kind of blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, no, thank you. We're not interested in a record deal. We just want to do this. He's like, no, I don't need no showcase. Just want to put this out just like that, blah, blah, blah. Come to New York and meet me. While I was in America, while I was going through this whole publishing company trying to get us deals, people telling me don't have a hit, put the drum beat on the one, I started losing myself. And
Okay.
I was getting a bit mad. So I would go back and find the records I had as a kid, why I started playing music to remind me. Got my old Johnny Winter album, got this and that and that. But there was one record I couldn't find, was David Crosby, If Only I Could Remember My Name.
Oh wow.
One of my top 10, So I couldn't find it. So I fly to New York and I walk into his office and he's standing at his record player and he says, oh, hello, have you ever heard this? And it's that record.
Oh my God.
So I
That was
said to him,
it.
dude, just give me the paperwork, I sign right now.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, and so then he was the guy that broke Metallica. He was the one that
Wow.
did all that groundwork,
Wow.
selling the shit out of the back of the trunk, So I was like, oh, well, there you go.
So
That's
it
the
was a real
formula.
deal.
This is karma. This has got to happen. And then the next thing, I was in Ohio, and we were buzzing out of our brains driving around, and my friend hadn't heard the new Nine Inch Nails album. So I said, oh, well, let's go buy it right now. We go to the store. Sweet little girl behind the counter says to me, I said to her, I'll buy anything you sell me, okay? She says, yeah, okay, take this. And she gives me the Pearl Jam album. And we were buzzing and we listened to it and we were blown away. We're like, oh my God, this is a
Yeah.
soul record, It's not even rock,
Yes.
it's soul. It's so much power,
Yes.
so much emotion. And I'm turning all my friends onto it, get back to LA. I'm like, yeah, you got to listen to this, listen to this. And the next thing I get a phone call is Pearl Jam want to take you on tour. So I thought one of my mates pulling my leg,
Yeah.
And so it turns out, no, they want to take us on tour. remarkable, guys, because everybody said to him, no, don't take tribe after tribe, take the Hot Chili Peppers, and this and that. And so we landed up touring the whole of America twice with them, opening for them.
Oh,
And then a world tour twice, played some great arenas. What is that famous? The Hammersmith Odeon, those kind of places.
wow.
Unbelievable. And so that kind of established me and us as a force. There was a buzz around us,
Yes.
After that, I would get offered record deals, sight unseen. People say, "Can you send us demos?" I said, "I don't do that," and they would send me the money that next day, And so we got to tour Europe a lot, and it was just beautiful, beautiful.
And Europe's awesome to tour, eh?
Yeah.
That was my grounding. I was very lucky at very young in clout to be able to tour in Europe because they are such what's the word? Fans of music. And let me tell you what I've got here.
Yeah, you got the.
Alan Rosenberg from Peach, of course.
How's it, Al?
And Rolf Watteroth. Rolf is the guy I tour with in Germany. Okay. And we miss you. I miss you too. And of course, Serena, I'm so sorry I said you were his daughter, but you're his wife. Serena is his wife. Serena Boyle. Oh my gosh. So we still have everybody here. Thanks for coming to look. This is the real deal you're watching here, people. This is not like fakey wakey. This is for reals, and I love it. Remind me of the story. He told me a story where I helped him. I didn't know about this. It's not because I want people to think I'm fabulous, but I want you to know because I would have your back at any time. Even though we were doing different things, Yeah. It was a show. Where was it?
I thought it was at a place called Hyde Park Hotel.
It's very possible it was.
But I don't.
It was. No, it was the Hyde Park Hotel. I came to watch you guys one night there.
Yeah. And so what happened? It was the June 16th. That's the sacred day in South Africa.
Yeah.
And we were playing there, and government had set up a state of emergency. And under the state of emergency, you weren't allowed to make subversive statements.
Yes,
and
subversive statements.
Yeah, something like that, And so Roddy Quinn was out there battling with the legal people. What does it mean, And basically, they said they'll know it when they see it, And so he was saying, like, is it, what about musicians' lyrics? And no, you go to prison for that, blah blah blah. And we had already been surrounded by security people, and my relationship with Neil Agate and all that. There was an awareness in that secret department. And anyway, and I walked into this gig to play this gig on that sacred day, and at the door, special branch guy blocks me and he says, "Yeah, we got you tonight. We're watching you. Tonight's the night," kind of thing. And I got such a fright. What is that? Is that you? That's you.
Don't worry, I've turned it off.
Okay, so I got such a fright that by the time I got to the dressing room, I had lost my voice. My voice just went mute. And you were there, and I told you, and so I told you what had happened. And you immediately started prying me with ice and raw egg and honey and what kinds of shit, and trying to get my voice back. And I was telling you, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. And you said, "No, Robbie, you go on that stage. While I'm here, they will not take you."
Oh, I would have protected you. I wouldn't have let them take you because they just to try to take us as well. They would. They walked up to me the one day at a big show. It wasn't Ellis Park. I think it was Standard Bank Arena, one of those. Yeah. And I was wearing a Cosatu T-shirt, and they said, "You have to take that off." I said, "But if I take it off, I got nothing on underneath. You're just going to see my boobies. So what are we going to do? We're going to either have a naked girl on stage, which is illegal, or I can't take my T-shirt. Well, then take it off and turn it inside out so that we can't see the labeling.
Wow.
The slogans." So,
so you told me that. You said, "Don't worry, they don't take you while I'm here."
They won't
And
take you, Alam. Yeah.
yeah, and so I got this confidence from you, a beautiful feeling of safety, and I got on that stage and I managed to sing. And then my voice wasn't 100%. I got you up to do some songs with us, and I remember we played rock and roll,
Led
Led Zeppelin
Zeppelin.
rock
Yeah,
music,
I
you know,
remember.
and you
I
sang
loved
with people.
that.
Yeah, yeah. So
I
that was
loved
that.
it.
And so then
Wow.
we flew out of there. You know, other cuck happened, and so we flew out in quite a rush. And I would never have ever gone to America in my life. All my favorite musicians were from Europe, but
Okay.
because of the rush, and Di Brucken was involved with the
Yes.
Amnesty International people and all that, so they got us out, made sure we got through the airport, and got us a house in Hollywood. And that's where
And
the
that
other
was
cuck.
kind of like a refugee thing.
Yeah, well, yeah. I took political asylum. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Because otherwise, how would you have, done that? So you took political asylum. And what
Yeah.
year was that, Robbie?
1986.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I moved there in 1990.
Oh wow.
So I was already there, and I'd heard that you were there much
Right.
later. But we
Right.
never hooked up while I was in America. A lot of
No.
people were there, and I never bumped into them, which was kind of sad. So did Tribe After Tribe continue in America?
Yeah, yeah. We continued, and we had. I think we may have done 3 or 4 albums,
Mm.
and plenty of touring and blah blah blah, and many record deals. You know, and the record business was going through all kinds of cuck. Um,
Yes,
we were
the
signed to like,
changes.
we were signed to independent companies, and they would get dropped from the labels,
Yes,
and we would get dropped, and then we'd get signed again, and then we get dropped. And when we were on the Pearl Jam tour, I pretty much paid for that tour ourselves with my publishing money, because the record label got dropped. But yeah, so one time there was an article on me. It said the most unluckiest musician in the business, to have
listen.
5 record deals. But I was very fortunate, because I tell you something, while touring with Pearl Jam, they started breaking, and I saw what happened to them as people.
Yes,
How waitresses just drop shit when they see you.
yes,
Everybody trying to
yes,
touch you, get you.
yes.
And as a sensitive person, I would get claustrophobia to the
It's
max.
very funny, that thing. We had it in
Yeah,
Clout a bit, quite a bit, where people
yeah,
will grab you and mob you and touch you and want to scream and do all that stuff. They used to pull my hair out just so they have a souvenir.
yeah.
Then they'd throw, animals on the stage, all these stuffed animals. I used to go home with a bag full of animals. I mean, these people were good people and sweet people, but they don't realize that it's your space, it's your sacred space,
Yeah.
and you don't want to be touched. But it's part of the deal, so we can't complain. We just
No,
have
yeah,
to
no, but it's just,
navigate it.
yeah, but
Navigate it.
it's difficult because people aren't genuine anymore with you.
Well, you only learn who your friends are when you're
Yeah.
down and out. When
And
you're
when you
not
get, and
there.
yeah.
You
No,
know,
no,
when
it's
you because I had so many friends in Clout. I had so many people that absolutely adored me. Didn't really adore me at all. They adored Cindy on stage,
yeah,
Cindy in
yeah,
Clout, or Robbie. They want to be part of the thing, and because
yeah,
there's a light that shines around us, and people like to be in that light,
yeah. They want to touch
and
that,
but
yeah.
but but I understand. I've been very discerning over the last few years. As we grow, as we get wiser, we understand what we can and can't do. Now the people that are in my life and that come to my shows and stuff, I know who they are,
Yeah,
and they're good people, and nobody's gonna cross a line with me, and they know who I am.
yeah,
So we've been able to, in our lives, create our boundaries and start having the life that we would like to have. So maybe I'm not a Beyonce, but I don't want to be Beyonce.
yeah, yeah. No, no, it's not.
You
It's
know,
not. It's not a real world. It's very, and they suffered. The guys from Pearl Jam, they suffered with that. I think they found their peace now, but it took a while.
yes, it does take a while.
And
I
and
want
so
to
I was.
play. I would love to play that other video, that third ear
Did you play yeah, you
experience.
played the European tour? You didn't play this one. Yeah, this is a Tribe
This
After
is,
Tribe live in Europe.
yeah, I want to see this. It's really wild.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was
You
amazing.
know,
The one gig we had 300,000 people.
300,000
Amazing.
people.
Yeah, it's the
You
Woodstock in
know,
Poland. Free
yeah.
concert.
Unbelievable. I mean, experiences like that as well. That's part of the whole thing. You cannot ever stop. That will be in the memory banks forever.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's like nobody can take anything away from you. So you do those shows, you've had these experiences. When did you start moving into a different headspace?
Well, one of the things is I moved into the desert when I
That was
like,
it.
yeah, and then in the desert, the Milky Way is so intense. It's unbelievable. It's like someone's blowing smoke into your eyes, you know.
Mm.
And then there's these distances and stuff, and so playing and singing songs kind of didn't make sense. It's like when you look at the infinite space and the infinite stars, and you look at that, and then you say to yourself, "Baby, I'ma want you, baby." No, you know, it doesn't make sense. You know, so it's like I can't sing this. I can't speak. I can't write this. You know, artists might feel the same way. How do you really paint a sunset? You know, and my guitar playing was getting really starting to evolve, and I actually quit guitar for about 3 years and just learned to play this Indian instrument, and then
Okay.
back onto the guitar, and I was like starting to develop, and so the song became a restriction. Even in the old days, the song was always just a diving board for me to leap off into the jams and the chaos, you know. But now it was like, okay, songs are now, this is not happening. And also the whole thing of sitting down with a band and writing songs. I was like, no, man. When we were kids, we would just jam on the farm, you know, and in Krugersdorp and all that. We
Jam.
just, you know.
Jam.
So I was
Yeah.
like, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. So we put on these concerts where we had the astronomers had this huge 70-foot screen and these huge telescopes, and they would go and find deep space stuff and project this onto the screen, and we would jam to that. And then I got the guys into the studio where I'm at sitting now, and we just jammed and recorded everything. And out of that came a beautiful album that I really love called Peacock Black. And then that's what I started doing. And then the last
Is that
time,
like a solo album or an album with other
no,
artists?
no, it's with other artists. I had Doug Pinnick from King's X, who's one of the top bass players on the planet. Very fortunate to be friends with him, and he was a big Tribe After Tribe fan, and so he comes and met some wonderful musicians out here, and so we would just jam, and then one time we decided we've done 2 jam albums now, let's write some songs and see if we can incorporate the 2, you know. So we're writing songs, but we'd wake up when we go into the studio with jam for an hour or so. And then at the end of the day, we would jam, and everything got recorded. And then when it came time to mixing, I listened to the songs and like, yeah, they were okay, but the jams were so special. You couldn't write music like that. The drummer is very into the Beatles and the Who, so he was constantly arranging while we're jamming. He'd change a part, and we would just follow him. You couldn't. It's Beethoven. It's you know what I mean. It's got this long 20 minutes, and suddenly something changes. Who came up with that? How did you change it? And the bass player is really fast. If he hears something, he changes it, and it just became these long, beautiful stories that you could follow and go. And it's not telling you anything to think, not forcing you to think anything. You can now project as a listener whatever you want onto it. And so this I fell in love with, and at the same time fell in love with Miles Davis, and that's the end of that.
Aha. So we're talking about freedom, complete freedom of creativity. So we don't have to adhere to time constraint, to how many bars, to how many we should do of these, when this should be a solo, blah, blah, blah. It is the music creating itself within the sphere of all of you together.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's spontaneous. I leave the mistakes in there when I fluff it or whatever. And it's these beautiful, and not only that, the press that we got, the best album of the year. You'll see at the end of the video you're going to play strings of like best album, 30-year experience at the forefront of the genre, blah, blah, blah. We played all the big stoner rock festivals in Europe. more success than all that stress of trying to write a hit from the early
No,
days.
I totally get that. I totally get that. I've got a quote that I found that somebody wrote about you. It was I think in the USA, and this touched on something of me that I always felt like you were like this. I always, even though you were an absolute rebel and a madman, um, you know, partying so hard and puking everywhere and doing
Yeah.
those crazy things as we do.
Uh-huh.
Um, I always felt that you were this little guru-ish mystic kind of guy. And then I read this quote. Here's the quote: "One of the greatest mystics ever to appear in the history of rock."
Yeah.
That's what they said about you, Robbie.
Yeah, and the guy that said it, he's got integrity. He's the guy that signed Metallica. He's had a lot of success
Phew.
in the business.
Now
He's a big,
that's something. That's
yeah.
something. You know, I
Well,
would also, I just say I would rather be known as something like that than just having a whole bunch of hits, you know.
yeah. I
I,
remember. I remember John Martin
yes.
won the award for always being beautiful, and I thought to myself, that's the award I would like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. For always
yeah,
being beautiful.
yeah.
Well, I
You
think
know,
you've got that now. You've got that. You found a
I'm
new
surrounded.
you found such a new thing. I want to come into this new thing right now, but can we see
Yeah.
some photos? Julian has got all these photos set up, and will you tell us a little bit about them? I think these photos are absolutely beautiful. Um,
Okay.
yeah, they are. They're amazing. Thanks, Jules. Producers on the ball. Where was
So
that?
that's the Asylum Kids.
Mm,
That's Steve in the middle, and
mm,
to the right of him is Dino, and still have a good relationship with Dino and Steve.
yeah,
Steve actually came on tour with 30-year Experience, and
yeah.
Dino toured with that European video that was him touring. So we've still got a great relationship. And I'm actually sorry, I should have sent you a song, but we got together one time and we recorded a song.
Did something happen? Robbie? I think we've lost Robbie. Hello. Jules, can you hear me?
Am I back?
Got you back. Thank you, darling.
Sorry
That
about
was
that.
terrifying. I hate
Yeah.
losing you. Um, this Asylum Kids here.
Yeah, that was our first single,
Okay.
and really sweet story about that is at the same time there was a band from Durban called the Gents, and I hadn't heard them. I think maybe they'd heard us, I'm not sure, but they released a song also called Schoolboy or something to that effect. And then when we met them, it was amazing because they had this red-headed guitar player, more of a chubby bass player with black hair, and the skinny, fashion-oriented drummer. It was like looking into the mirror. It
Oh
was
my
such
God.
such a weird thing, and we both released a song called Schoolboy at the same time. It was amazing,
Synchronicity, darling.
crazy.
I've got a message from one of the girls before we go there. She says, she loved that song, As I Went Out One Morning. It wasn't a Uriah Heep song.
No, Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
Yeah, so Bob Dylan song.
Wally.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, and that one
I
came
don't
out of a
know.
jam too. And Renee
Yeah, because
Feldman produced that one. Yeah.
oh yeah, she was amazing. So this
Mm.
picture, where were you guys?
This is in Germany at a castle.
Hmm,
Yeah, that was a
fantastic.
great tour. That bass player from Armored Saint, amazing musician.
Okay.
And it was so awesome when we would tour Europe. So many friends would come over to Europe
Yeah.
and stay in our hotel rooms, and we were just this gang of South Africans running around being crazy. It was
I
fantastic.
know, me too. Oh, I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, it was great, man. And then that's our first promo shot for Tribe After Tribe in America.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice, eh?
that guy, the drummer, that's Robbie Whitelaw on the bass.
Okay.
He was actually an original Asylum kid,
Yes.
but fell
I
off.
remember him. Fell off
Yeah,
the wagon.
yeah, he got into trouble, so we couldn't continue with him. And then that
Oh.
drummer used to play in a band and he's a very tall guy, and he used to play standing up. And but when he played with us, he played sitting down. But still, the journalist would say, "Hey, this drummer stands up. He stands and plays." So that's how tall he is.
I love
Yeah.
it.
And then there was a silly promotion shot. I got the double mohawk, and
Wow.
yeah, I didn't like that photo shoot too much, but was there some kind of idea to have like that tribal red paint on their face, and
Mm-hmm.
you make bad decisions in your
It's
life.
a,
That's
you
one of
know what?
them.
Yeah, there's some pictures of mine that I'm like, oopsie. But
Yeah.
you know what? It's still a thing. And what is that instrument you're holding?
No, it's a stick. It's a really beautiful stick. It's kind of curved like this, and then the top
I
part
see
is an
that. Yeah.
African person's head with jewelry, and then the handle comes out of his head. There's
Okay,
a
now I
really
see
beautiful
it.
stick.
Because it looks like I thought maybe it was an instrument. Looks
No, no, no.
beautiful.
It's my hiking stick. I love it. I've had it for
Your
years.
hiking stick.
Yeah.
Ravi, let's talk about your spiritual path that has come from years of moving towards it slowly. And now I think it's sort of fully realized in some way. You've married a woman who is kind of, it looks like she is that way inclined.
Oh yeah. She's an angel. Absolute angel.
Yes.
She's not even human. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, I don't know if you know my background. Um, when I was about thrown in and out of orphanages all my life until about 9, 10 years old, and finally landed back with my mom, and she was running a meditation group, and so I met hippies and started doing drugs, and
Mm.
I had overdose when I was 13, and
Oh,
woke up in the hospital, and my mom apparently made a deal with God that if I got saved, she would serve God. She wasn't Catholic anymore, so she went in
mm.
to Tibet. She went to Tibet and studied there for years, and then came back fully enlightened guru and started
Okay.
building a monastery and all this stuff. But she would force us to meditate and all this stuff. And it was really annoying because I wasn't into this shit. I was into playing Led Zeppelin. I would always be told to turn my music down and all this. Very annoying. But then she stopped teaching in words because she felt people are walking around quoting the guru and just talking. So she stopped teaching in words and started teaching through dance and movement. And
Okay.
she said, if you
Yes.
can't do this beautifully, you're not ready for spiritual information. And then she noticed that some people couldn't do that. And so she prodded them like, what? Loosen. And they would start crying or something. And she then found out what's going is your mental your mental stuff, your psychological stuff embeds itself in the body. So she
Mm.
started doing body work to loosen up the girders of the soul
Got it.
and to let
Uh,
people come to highest aspiration, you know. And of course, who the victim? C'est moi. I would like to say, okay, Robbie, lie down here. So I would get rolfing, I would get all this shit, all these like Reiki, you name it. I got all this stuff,
yeah.
But I did respond to the too much talking thing. I understood it quite well because her disciples were very nasty to my sister and myself.
Really?
because we would get special treatment and whatever. But it was all annoying. But then, as my own, and almost as a rebellion towards her, I went in and I studied black magic and found out, wow, it's actually a very, very high technique of meditation. It's got nothing to do with evil. They don't even believe in a devil.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm wrong. And so then I studied this and that and that and went to a lot of religions, got knowledge, this and that and that. But then as my own spirituality started blossoming in its own way, all the stuff that my mom taught me started opening up doors in me. I was like, oh, I know how to do this. Oh, I know how to do this. I know how to feel this, And so it was like, oh, Mom, 20, 30 years later, actually, by the way, you were right. Sorry for all the fighting that I caused.
Isn't it terrible that we say that eventually?
And then I met my wife. Yes. So then I was finished touring and I was like, okay, I'm done with the music business. I can't take it anymore. It's just, there was a lot of sexual abuse going on around me that I didn't like. There was all kinds of shit and I just didn't like musicians, And so I decided to quit and just come to the desert and play this Indian instrument. Oh, no, before I came to the desert, I decided to do this for a year. And I discovered that one of the things they do with this instrument is you take the name of the goddess and you play it, Yashoda, and you play it 1,000 different ways around 2 notes. And I was like, wow, what a challenge. So I started doing that. Then I get a knock on the door. A guy says to me, every time he walks past here, here for music. Would I want to do music for a documentary? So I said to him, no, I'm not in the music business anymore. So I got a little bit arrogant. And I said to him, I'm just going to play the name of the goddess, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, that's funny because the documentary is about a goddess, a living one. So I was like, oh, well, okay, well, there you go, synchronicity or whatever. And I said, okay, I'll meet the producer, Kripa, my wife. Immediately, I'm like, oh, my God, that's the most beautiful being I've ever seen. And turned out she was married at the time. We didn't do the documentary. We did a bit of music for it, but I did a record for her. And she was pregnant she got pregnant that week. And so for the 9 months of her pregnancy, we made this beautiful devotional CD. And when the child was born, it recognized my voice and very, very quickly said to me, Robbie, I like your name, and called me dad for the rest of my whole life. She's now 21 years old, and we've got a beautiful, beautiful relationship.
Wow.
And my wife's guru is an absolute phenomena. I mean, you can take all the Hindu dogma out of her. What she does for human beings is absolutely incredible. She has adopted thousands of orphans. She's given people 30,000 houses. She feeds the poor, unbelievable, rehabilitates prostitutes. She's a galaxy. She's unbelievable, right? And this thing about the orphans, I was like, as you grow up as a punk rocker, you're like, fuck the money, people with money, blah, 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 When I met this woman, I was like, oh, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do with the money. You can do this and, help the orphans, buy music instruments for the poor.
Yeah, now it's brought you to this new thing. So the show is called Where Are They Now? And then I must come to this point and say, this is where you are now. You have come full circle from the madness of rock and roll, going through trying to get record deals as we do, trying to hold on to that fame in some way that can keep us just doing what we do. And you found yourself in a whole different genre of music, where music is now something else to you. And that's like, wow, when someone like you does that, there's big kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I dropped the name Tribe After Tribe because it was limiting me also about being attached to those African drums, and the songs. So then I formed a band called Third Ear Xperience. And that's based on listening,
And
and
that
so we
was
listen to
what
each other, and that's how
um, we are sadly, I hate it, but we have come sort of to the end of our part of the show. We we've gone over, which is also beautiful. I'm happy to say. Um, I've heard so much about you. I've learned so much about the new you and the old you, and I think you've made your way in this world, and you've made a path in this world, and you've created your own space, and you can only keep doing that because there's nowhere to go from there except do what you do,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And and
Because
and and to the yes, to the people listening, we're talking to all these musicians that haven't been in our faces for some time. They're people that we remember and people that we've heard along the way. And I'm loving seeing how they have evolved and what has happened to them in their lives. It makes me absolutely full of love and admiration and seeing where everybody's paths have taken them. And I think, Robbie, you found yourself a magnificent path. You have love all around you. You exude love, and
yeah,
that can't be a bad thing, you know. I mean, love is all we got. Love is all we have.
yeah,
Love is all we have.
yeah,
I mean, that is the truth,
yeah,
people. I'm also an old hippie, and I like meditation and spirit and soul and all that stuff. But let me tell you, love is all we need, and if we just keep giving lots of that, we'll be fine. So I want to tell everybody out there how much we
yeah,
love you and how much we appreciate you coming
yeah,
to watch Robbie today. You have so many fans still, Robbie, that absolutely love and adore you and that have so much respect for you and your journey. And our producer, Julian, always takes the time to make it work for us. And thank you for the platform. Do you want to say anything else to the people out there, Robbie, just before we say goodbye? Anything you want to say?
I just like to say there's a lot of gratitude to everyone that has been part of my life, from Benji, Roddy Quinn, you, um, even what was the name? The singer from Hotline saved me from falling off a stage one time.
PJ,
This,
PJ
like
Powers.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
PJ.
And so many people, all the musicians I've played with, and Philip now, I believe he's got a different name now. It's just, like they say, if you're standing above a crowd, it means you're standing on someone's shoulders.
Yes.
I just want to thank all those shoulders that have helped me stand up,
That is so lovely. And yes, it is the truth that you have had lots of shoulders to stand on. And I'm glad I was able to play this much of a part in your life. And I'm sure PJ will feel the same way. Um,
Yeah.
it's just to know that as much as we are apart, we are really basically all joined, in spirit and in love and in music especially. So whatever music you do, we're still joined in music. Next week, I have a very interesting chap. His name is Ian Furr. Ian was in the music business for many, many, many years playing, he wasn't a musician at the point, but he was in the music business. So he was one of the record producers and he had a record label. And then he went on to start all the sorbet stores. So he's had quite a life. And
Wow.
we're going to be chatting to Ian next week. It's going to be very interesting because we're chatting to people who have been in the industry, not necessarily musicians, but people in the industry, on the peripheries of the industry. We have so many great guests coming. Robbie, I have to thank you so much for letting me have you for this hour on our show and making it all happen. And you were so sorted and organized. I didn't have to pull my hair out and go, oh God, is this going to work? It just worked. And you made my day so easy. Thank you, my darling. Lots of love to you. And
thank you.
Blessings to you all. Goodbye, everybody. Good night from Where Are They Now? We'll see you next week on Tuesday, 7 p.m.
tale I tell is just a tale. Sailors brave and witches pale turned our lives and tore the veil, and now you know.